So I help entrepreneurs and professionals use digital media to amplify their voice. More specifically towards women, just because I think we've been socialized as a group to not speak out as much. And we have a lot of amazing, awesome things to say. Women use technology to share their stories and their voice and their thoughts and their impact.
Mhm.
Um, I've been in a couple of classes online. Well, I've taught this in university for almost 2 decades now. I've been teaching in the digital humanities. So I really care about the why and the sociology behind how people use technology, not just the how. The how is interesting, and I think it's fun because I like puzzles, but the why to me is fascinating.
Oh,
um,
okay.
why we choose to communicate in the way we do and what the affordances of one medium allow us to do versus another one, for example. Um, so my passion and call since I was racing reindeer and taking technology up to the 400th market winter market of the Sami people in the north of Sweden to today, where I help students podcast, is let me help you figure out the technology so you don't have to worry about that part. You can get your message out.
Okay. Were you using this as an analogy, or did you literally take step up to people in Sweden?
I literally did. Yeah. So
Okay. That's where you're
I
from?
not originally, but I lived there about 15 years.
Okay. And so you mentioned digital, you didn't say marketing, technology, I think,
Mm,
um,
yes.
for the last 20 years. And I
Mhm.
would not have thought that it had been around that long, but I don't think
Yeah.
I know what digital technology really means. Can you give me like
Yeah.
a two-sentence
Mhm.
simplified explanation?
Sure. So I started my research with blogs, and that was in 2002, I think, when we were just using blogs to do all of this, and we were creating networks online with a blog. And then we started putting pictures in those, and that got a little more technical. And then we started being able to use video and looking at how people also were disenfranchised in different parts of the world on bandwidth, like how fast was your network connection. So if you look in certain parts of like lower Europe and in certain parts of northern Africa, they did so many really cool things with lower bandwidth communication tools like text messaging. There was so much interest in like how to vote through text messaging, how to bank through text messaging, um, how to learn about disease prevention and spreading through text messaging. So it's just really interesting to me to see how people, again, the affordances of whatever technology they're using, how they are able to morph their message around so it fits the technology and the group of people using whatever, I hate to use the word bandwidth, but whatever ability they have to communicate in that time. So yeah, we've been working with we had a big project on YouTube. And so we researched YouTube for about 6 years, and we looked at how youth had a political voice on YouTube where they didn't have one IRL because they weren't old enough, but they were able to, have a political say and impact change by creating videos on YouTube. And that was back in 2006, I think, 4 or 6. So yeah, it's been around. We're I'm old now. It's been around a while.
You're right. When I think about the internet, I don't think about the fact that it really just came into use and popularity effects and
Yeah.
around the turn of the century. Um,
Hmm.
and so it just seems like, we use it so much, it just seems like it's been there forever. But
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
And even like safety things we had to think about. Another big project we did was how to keep domestic violence survivors safe online. And we had to go, or we didn't have to, we wanted to go to the different shelters and talk to them about like how you take a picture without accidentally getting a sign or a street crossing, or things that even if you don't think there's something that would give away your location, might give away your location.
Mm.
And, just because you have a closed network or you think you have a closed network on Facebook doesn't mean there's not loopholes of like a friend of a friend liked it. So the person who is abusing you then can see that picture because, your settings are open and that friend of a friend liked the picture. And so there's so much to think about when we think about how we communicate online.
Mm.
I tend to do kind of a nonprofit activist spin on marketing, if that makes sense. I do enjoy talking about how we can use digital marketing for the good and um, spreading our messages in a powerful way.
As opposed to now, it's not.
Not necessarily now, but I would, because we definitely still market towards the good. And
Mm-hmm.
but one thing that I find a little bit concerning right now is the way we have to use hooks, or the way that we're using hooks to bring people into our video, especially. We have like a 3-second attention span. So we bring them in through this hook that is somewhat misleading often, I would say. And so are there ways that we communicate, or that we could communicate, and we could get people in and have the message align with the hook that we've used? Are there different ways that we could use hooks to bring people in?
Do you have a solution?
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Okay, fair enough. So you're saying that instead of using something that essentially could be termed clickbait,
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
to use something that's more authentic to the
Mm-hmm.
message, more positive to the message,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds like it would need us as the human beings, as the consumers, to
Yes.
change our mindset about how we receive and our attention gets grabbed.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is very doable. I don't feel like this is an old, or sorry, I feel like this is a newish thing that we've done. I feel like we have trained ourselves into the shorter form content. We talked a lot about this with early blogging, that we have trained ourselves from long form reading to what at that point we called short form reading, and blogs could be, very long. And now it's even shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. So I think having a discussion about, is this good for us? Does this let us have nuance in our communication? Um, is this what we want to continue with, or do we need to embrace longer forms? And I think bringing in a discussion about the way that we use AI is also important there. And I love AI. Like, I am a huge fan of AI, but I do think we need to have a discussion about how we're using it. And what you just mentioned a minute ago with authenticity, I think is super important, because it seems from what I'm seeing on YouTube now that when you bring a human face back into your video, that is when you get better engagement, you get better conversation, and I would even argue more views versus some of the no face channels that were really popular for a long time. And I think it's a backlash against the slick editing and the AI that we had for so long. We're kind of craving that connection again. We're craving that conversation again.
AI is still fairly new to the general world. I think it's
Mm-hmm.
old to those who've been creating it and those who are early adopters and that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But we're really only 2 years into the big burst of it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think people are starting to get a little disenfranchised with it already?
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. The
What?
reason I think that is because of what I feel like is a backlash against the faceless accounts that were really popular for quite some time. The Instagram posts that are just posts with no picture behind it, or the Instagram um, quote channels that were just nothing but quotes. Or and then YouTube had the same thing. It was like faceless channels, just a picture with like no face, no person, but a voiceover. Or even worse, the voiceovers that were obviously computer generated voiceovers.
Yes.
So I feel like we have seen a backlash against that, and the things that are getting the clicks and getting the views and getting the engagement numbers are I think two things. One, I think the over 40 group is returning. Like, they were the original. I feel like they were the OG YouTubers and they're
Mm-hmm.
coming back.
Okay.
Um, and I think it's the people that want to connect, like want to actually have a conversation.
So then what do, from a business standpoint,
Mhm.
what would a business owner, a coach, an entrepreneur, what would you have them think about and consider
Mhm.
as they are interacting with digital technology, utilizing it in their business?
Their message every time. What is your actual message that you're getting out? Because it's so easy to get caught up in the shiny, shiny and what's new. And when you do that, it's really easy to get overwhelmed on making sure that you're on all of these different platforms. And that is going to eat up your time as a business owner because your business is to do your business, right? It's not all the marketing part. I mean, you need the marketing because you need people to see you that you're out there, but it can also completely inhale all of your time. So if you really focus on what your message is, who you're trying to send that message to, and if they're accepting it or if they're engaging with it, and then keep to the channels where those affordances best meet whatever message that you're trying to get out.
In your studies and research, have you found a
Mhm.
correlation between certain type of messaging and certain type of platforms? Which ones do better where?
Yeah, definitely. So if you are doing a lot of call to actions, shorter form things are really effective. Things like TikTok, Instagram, shorter form. If you're using something or if you're doing something where you're asking for a better buy in, you need people to come on a journey with you, then you want to use longer form aspects like LinkedIn, honestly, YouTube. What else is longer form? LinkedIn, YouTube, blogs. Like blogs are still a big thing. So I know.
Right. I keep hearing
But
it, and
if
yet
you,
I'm like, I
right?
don't see any, but apparently there.
Yeah. Yeah, apparently. So I would argue that quick buy-in and quick turnover and honestly lower ticket items tend to do better on short form. And something where you need a bigger buy-in, a bigger connection, a bigger journey or story than longer form.
Gotcha.
Mhm.
You do this research, so do you have a preference of platform that you use?
I have been trying all of them lately, and I'm testing out these different theories on the different platforms, and I've had some surprising results. One of the places that I'm getting a lot of good engagement is Medium, which I had not even that hadn't really been on my radar a ton. It was really big for a while, and then I feel like kind of died off, but there's still a really strong group of people on Medium. So the kind of research that I particularly do where I want to talk about results, Medium tends to be a really good place for that. LinkedIn tends to be a good place for that. And then YouTube has been a surprise. I feel like people are having good conversations on YouTube again. So I've been conversing a lot with people there, and then just now started my own channel to be able to have a more of a voice in those conversations instead of just chatting on other people's.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So, from a long form standpoint, you mentioned
Mhm.
LinkedIn.
Mhm.
For those who don't know what it is, can you explain what Medium is?
Oh, sure. Medium is sort of it's combo between a newspaper and a blog, I would say. It's sort of like a blog, but it's not in your space. You don't own that space. You have a profile on it like you would on LinkedIn or you would on Facebook, but it is just a longer form newspaper like article that you would write. And you can write about anything. You can put a call to action in there. You can even have an email list on there or start. I'm sorry, you can put a place in there, a form in there to actually start gathering emails, which from a marketing standpoint, email is the gold standard. So is if you can grab emails and offer them value in return,
Mhm.
it's the gold standard versus building your fort on someone else's land.
Yeah. I was surprised to hear you mention Medium because I'm familiar with it, but the very, very short time I spent on it, which is probably why I didn't see much result, I didn't see a ton of engagement.
Mhm.
Things that I shared or wrote.
Mhm.
And so I'm curious to hear a little bit more about you say that you have surprising engagement. Tell me more about
Yeah. And it may be because now I'm talking about business on
that.
there versus like before I talked about RV life and gardening and didn't get a lot of engagement. So I'm thinking too that it is a very specific niche on Medium and it tends to be more geared towards a business mindset, I would say. Hmm. And writers, of course, writers. But it
Gotcha.
tends to be writers that are looking to use writing as a business as well. How to make money from writing, and yeah.
Wow. Yes, because you can make money from medium
Yeah. Hmm.
if through your writing. So would
Right.
it be, Dr. Stephanie, could someone create a blog and simply post it on Medium or
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
okay,
Hmm.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Then from a digital footprint standpoint, what would you say is probably the most effective or top two effective ways of creating a larger digital footprint?
Hmm.
Because for you guys that are listening, so for coaches, I, talking to somebody who has studied this, right? And so
Hmm.
where can they go to get the most return, the biggest return on investment for their time in
Hmm.
the digital world?
It depends on where your people are. It completely 100% depends on where your ideal customer is. If your ideal customer, if you're in crafting, for example, your ideal customer is more than likely going to be on Pinterest and Instagram, more than likely. Or if you're in the wedding sector, Pinterest and Instagram. So it really depends on where your ideal customer already hangs out. So there's a theory of communication called cute cat theory. And that means you need to go to where people, your people that you're trying to market or have a conversation with, are already sharing pictures of their cute cats. You don't want to build a new cat sanctuary for them. You want to go where they're already sharing these pictures. So if your ICA hangs out on Facebook, you need to be marketing on Facebook. And that means adding value to it, not just going in there and going, buy my cat. You want to add value.
Right.
um, but another really great place is actually Reddit. I know Reddit can be a toxic place, but there are also a lot of really great forums in there where people are adding value. And you can go in there and have a conversation with them, and that can give you a lot of insight into where your ICA hangs out. Um, so if they're having a conversation here and they say, I've got these pictures of my, say you're a travel agent. I've got this, I've got all my pictures on Instagram, or I've got all my pictures on, I guess not Flickr. Flickr still exists, but it's been around a while. But wherever your ICA is hanging out, that's where you need to be concentrating your time. And that just takes a little time to get in the mindset and the headspace of your ideal customer.
ICA means what?
Ideal customer avatar.
Avatar.
So this, yeah, sorry, this idealized idea of who your customer is, where she hangs out, what she likes to do, what she likes to buy, what books she's reading, what movies she's watching. Like, give her a name. Like, really do some work on who you're speaking to, and that's going to make your messaging clearer, and that's going to give you a better of idea of where she's already sharing her cute cats.
Gotcha. I think it's so funny because the first two words of that acronym, ideal
Uh-huh.
client, or ideal customer, it really describes what we need, but we love to add
Mhm.
new words to stuff or change
Yes.
labels to make it sound new
Yes.
and exciting. This
Hmm.
is just a completely off topic but relevant example. The first time I heard food security, I thought,
Ah,
what is that?
uh-huh.
And then I think the person went on to say something, and I understood it to be those who suffer from hunger, those who are
Yeah.
hungry, who don't have enough food. Why don't we just call it they're hungry and they don't have enough food?
Right.
But we like to put new labels on stuff to make it seem new.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. So ICA is not mine. It's I got it from Amy Porterfield. That's who I follow about a lot of this stuff. But yeah, I completely agree. Like, why are we making this harder than it has to be? It's our customer. Who is our customer? What's her name? Where is she hanging out?
You don't even need the
I want to go
ideal.
have some, right? I want to go to Target with her, find out what she likes.
Absolutely. No, I love it. But you're doing the right thing. You're using the current terminology because I've heard avatar, and when you said it, I know what that means because I've heard it.
Yeah.
So you're doing it
Yeah.
right, but I think it's hilarious. Okay.
No, I actually really agree with you. Yep.
Okay. So the other thing is you mentioned Reddit, and I want to dive in there a little bit because you already mentioned two mediums that Dr. Stephanie are not typically mentioned when it comes
Hmm.
to entrepreneurs, I think, thinking about where they can show up. And
Mhm.
so I love that you've already introduced those two. So I want to dig into a little
Mhm.
bit into Reddit so that
Okay.
people may see it as, like you said, typically a toxic form. I know nothing
Uh-huh.
about it, so I'm definitely interested to hear a little bit about what you say, because I've only ever heard the bad, and so I just thought, well, there's not
Yeah.
really on it. But tell me what exactly Reddit is, so that people who may
Mhm.
not be familiar with it, like me, know, and then
Right.
why it or how it can be used by an
Mm.
entrepreneur, a coach, to bring awareness or marketing to their brand.
Yeah. Okay. So the first thing I want you to think about is, what is your purpose for coaching? Why are you actually trying to get this message out? What are you trying to do? So you theoretically you're trying to add value to whatever niche market you're trying to add value to, right? Whatever your whoever your customer is. So the amazing thing about Reddit is it's this I mean, there is some toxic stuff on Reddit. Do not get me wrong,
Yeah.
for sure. It's not 4chan, but it's still there can be some toxic spaces there. But the cool thing about Reddit is it's niched already for you. So if you have a question, I was looking, my kids are Swedish. They're Swedish and American. They have dual citizenship. I was looking at dual citizenship on Reddit specifically about Sweden American dual citizenship. And there are forums for that.
Wow.
There is a forum for almost anything. I bet if I looked up penguins ice skating, there would probably be a forum for it. I don't know if you're coaching for penguins who are ice skating, but there may be a forum there for it.
There you
But
go.
it is so niche down. So the great thing about that, and I'm not saying go in there and sell to them. That is not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying that when you're marketing, you want to know the language of the people that you're marketing towards. You want to know how your customer is speaking, what their pain points are. All that research is right there for you. It's in Reddit, niche down specifically. People are talking, they're asking questions that are their pain points. So you can go in there and start doing some research on, how can I solve a problem? How can I add value? And then actually participate, right? Like go in there and participate with them and help them with solutions, give some value. I mean, you can say, I have this thing that could help you, but I wouldn't just go in there and jump in and say that. I would go in there and actually add value and add to the conversation. And if you have a offer that can genuinely help someone, then yeah, say, hey, I've got this thing. This might really help you with this thing. But I also feel like it's a much more authentic way of selling something. You add value to them, you find their pain point, you figure out how you can help them with that pain point. And Reddit's already niched down and they're already there looking for a solution to their questions. Quora is another good one for that.
Is another forum.
Mhm. I think it's what did it see? Yeah, Quora, Quora.
Okay.
I haven't spent a lot of time on Quora. My husband loves Quora.
Okay.
It is like
Okay.
his favorite place to go. But it's just questions and answers. I prefer Reddit because Reddit is more like a community around a niche, where Quora feels more like questions and answers. So you could go into Quora and search for a topic and
Mhm.
find questions that people have asked. But once I know my niche, I would like to go into Reddit and go, okay, let me read about what like right now I'm working a lot with podcasting and helping people get started in podcasting. So I want to know, I've been doing it a long time. So I want to know, can I remember what it was like when I first started podcasting? Like, what questions did I have about technology and how to host it and where to host it? And what were the things that I don't remember now because I've been doing it so long, that I wanted to know then?
Yeah.
It's a great place to find that kind of information.
This is the reason why I so enjoy having experts on, because you all bring just one or two nuggets that we can immediately take. You guys can take this. You can go do some research on Medium, go do some research
Mhm.
on Reddit, even Core.
Mhm.
And then we talked earlier about making sure your messaging is tight and knowing the
Mhm.
form that goes along with the platform, matching those up.
Yeah.
But you all bring so many great nuggets that we can immediately say, okay, I can take that away. That
Mhm.
is why I'm so very grateful to have you on the show. Unfortunately,
Thank
time
you.
always goes so quickly.
Oh, this
Before
is
we
so much
leave,
fun though.
I know, right? Dr. Stephanie, please tell
Yes.
people how they can find you, how they can reach you, how they can connect with you.
Sure, thank you. I do have a YouTube channel. It is brand new because I wanted to have a deeper conversation with people. So you can find me at Dr. Stephanie Dean on YouTube. You can go to corvididesign.com. That's my website. And from there, I have links to all my different places. But Corvidi Design is my boutique firm that I've got, my little digital marketing firm that I've got up there. And I love research, so I had to stick that in the name. Oh,
Thank you for
definitely.
sharing your passion with
Thank
me.
you.
Your passion has helped us today, and I'm very grateful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.